Welcome to the ACF Chef's Table Forum. Thank you for joining today's webinar on elevating college and university dining with Aussie beef and lamb. For those unfamiliar with the American Culinary Federation, we're the leading organization for culinary professionals offering education, certification, and a community for chefs and food service leaders. If you're not yet a member, today's webinar is a great example of the valuable resources we offer. Today we'll be joining not Chef, and I know Chris for a long time, and he just corrected us, so making sure. Today we're joining Christopher Holland, Chef Alexander Ung, and Doug McNichol as they delve into innovative ways to incorporate Aussie beef and lamb into university dining programs, and I promise you they will not be having the faux pas I'm having. Feel free to ask questions using the Q&A functions at any time. Let's get started by sharing where you're tuning in from in the chat. I'm Chris Tanner, ACF's Executive Director, and I'm excited to have you all here with us. Let's meet today's presenters. Our first presenter, Christopher Howland, is the Chief Procurement Officer and Senior Director of Procurement and Strategy at UMass Amherst Auxiliary Enterprises. With over 20 years of experience, he oversees a $45 million plus budget, driving innovation, sustainability, and excellence. His collaboration with the marketing team has helped UMass Dining earn the Princeton's reviewed #1 Best Campus Food ranking for 8 consecutive years. Chris holds a BS in Animal Science and an MBA from UMass Amherst, and we all established about 20 minutes ago he makes all these other men look handsome. Our second presenter, Chef Alexander Ung, was born in Malaysia and has a rich culinary background, including roles at the Shangri-La Hotel in Kuala Lumpur and Ritz-Carlton in the U.S. He worked with Jeremiah Tower at Stars and led kitchens at the La Coloniale in Xanadu. As chef partner at Betelnut Peju Wu, he earned multiple accolades. Now as Director of Culinary Excellence at UMass Amherst, he continues to inspire future diners. Chef Alex also teaches culinary courses, enjoys golfing, fishing, and spending time with his family. And I have to say, for our Frusterio individuals, I usually spend a whole lot of time with them at UMass Amherst during their annual culinary conference, and I missed out on it this year, so I'm happy to see them here again. So even with all my faux pas in my speech this afternoon. See, even another one. Our final presenter, Doug McNichol, Nickel? McNichol, okay, is a regional manager for North America of Meat and Livestock Australia, the research and marketing service provider to the Australian cattle, sheep, and goat industry. Based in Washington, D.C., Doug oversees marketing activities that grow the value of Australian beef, lamb, and goat meat sales across the U.S., Canada, and Mexico. Prior to his role, Doug acted in various sustainability innovation roles in the meat and livestock industry in Australia. Doug holds a bachelor's and master's of science and an MBA. At this time, through all my stammering that's over, I'm going to leave it to these three extremely amazing individuals to make this so much better than I just made it. So everyone, please take it away. Enjoy.
All right. Anyway, thank you so much, Chris, for that wonderful introduction. Thank you for making sure that chef is not in front of my name. Like I was telling the folks here before the webinar started, I know what things should taste like. I just don't know how to get there, right? So that's where Chef Alex and Chef Chris come in. They're wizards in the kitchen, and you'll see when I pass over to Alex in a few minutes. But what I'm going to be talking about is a little bit overview of UMass Amherst, our philosophy, then how we actually the guide came about, and what you're seeing today. Just kind of go to the next slide. Perfect. All right, so a little bit about UMass Amherst. So we are in Amherst, Massachusetts. We're about 2 hours west of Boston. We have about 31,000 total. Oops, sorry. I think, yeah. We have about 31,000 total students, so 24,000 undergrads, 7,000 grads. And like Chris was mentioning, we have been voted #1 best campus food for the last 8 years. The reason why this is so important to us is because the rankings are developed from student surveys. So the students have the final say about their experience here at UMass, and we're honored to be able to be voted #1 for the last 8 years. A few other numbers. So we do about 50,000 meals a day, have about 25,000 folks on a meal plan. We also do our own internal surveys to make sure we have a temperature check on how well we're doing. So we have one in the fall one in the spring where we reach out to about 4,000 randomly selected students on a meal plan. We asked a whole bunch of questions. One of them is about customer satisfaction. And right now we're about 8.5 out of 10, which I think is pretty good. But collectively, we all like to do a little better. So we'd like to see that at 9. But it takes everyone's effort here. We have a great team, so I know that we'll be able to do it. Next slide. So this is a fun slide, right? So one of the things that we've come to realize is that when you have a great dining program, it actually helps the university attract top students. And in the survey that I was mentioning before, we do have a question about how the dining program affected a person's decision-making process to come to UMass. And what we find out, by and large, I think it's over 80% of students say that the dining program has an effect, a positive effect, for them to come to UMass Amherst for their academic studies. It's kind of funny. We have a new student orientation program, like I'm sure many of our colleagues across the nation are experiencing right now. So we have a couple different cohorts every week. And last night was our second cohort where we actually were able to interact with some parents. Parents come along with their students to learn about UMass. We have a reception for them after all the education from the day is done. One, to give them a little rest, but two, to give them an opportunity to ask us some questions about the meal plan. Maybe they thought about it during the day, or maybe anything in general about UMass. And I was talking to a dad, and he said one of the reasons why he was from New York, and he said one of the reasons why his son chose UMass was because of the dining program. So it's between us and another university in New England, and our academics were about the same. But he said the dining put us over the top, not just because of the great experience, great food, but also because of the focus on allergen awareness, right? So we have two dietitians who work with students on how to eat healthier, focus on menu engineering for them if they want to do certain things athletically, but also for allergen awareness, right? So we have about 10.6% of our students with some type of allergy, and our dietitians help these students navigate the program. And that was really important to them. So you can see that having a great dining program really does contribute to attracting top students and also to the success of the student when they get here. We have a small video for you made by our interns.
Yeah. College food. College food. This is one of our most popular ranking lists, back in the #1 spot this year. #1, University of Massachusetts Amherst, the flagship of the UMass system.
Excellent. And then if I just wanted so the first slide of that video showed two of our chefs, Chef Anthony Jung and Chef Bob Bankert on the Today Show, because what happened was Princeton Review sometimes brings some of their #1 schools onto the Today Show to unveil the #1 list. Also want to mention that Chef Tony Jung is actually in the process of becoming a CMC, which for anyone that understands the process is very lengthy. And we're really proud of what he's been able to do, and we're looking forward to seeing that CMC certification. So a little bit about UMass Dining. We are a mission-driven organization. There's a lot of words on this page, but what I want you to understand is our goal is to contribute to student success through healthy, sustainable, delicious cuisine in a global and authentic way. Our vision is to really to create extraordinary and inspiring experiences and create good memories. One of the things that this helps to do is build trust in our dining program, trust that when they buy a meal plan, they're going to get a great experience, great food, and great memories for life. So food culture, these are some of the some of the things that we look at when we're building our program. So this is kind of like our roadmap to UMass Dining. I'm not going to go over every single one of these things, but there are a few things that I do want to point out. First thing is global influence and authenticity. So, like our university, like I'm sure many universities out there, has a large global student base, right? So we have students from not only the United States but all over the world. And what we want to make sure that we're able to do is that when we say that there's something from, say, the south part of China or maybe northern India, that it's authentic as possible because we have students from those areas. So if we say it's a certain dish, we're going to be held to account if it's not. And we're very fortunate that we have chefs like Chef Alex, Chef Bob, Chef Tony, and a plethora of other chefs in each of our dining conferences that are able to execute at a very high level. Because like food is the one thing that connects us all. It's a source of comfort. We want to make sure that we can give that comfort and that inclusiveness to our students when they're here. They're after all, they're part of UMass family. The other thing that I want to point out was modern eating. Unlike us, where we probably eat dinner around 6 or 7, sometimes students eat at 8, and then they might come back at 10 p.m., 11 p.m., maybe 2 a.m. So on average, our students eat with us 4.3 times a day. And we want to make sure that our operations reflect that in terms of being able to offer a great experience no matter what time they're up. So whether they're up early because they have rowing practice, or they're up late because they're on the basketball team or football team and practice gets out at 7, 8, 9 p.m. Want to make sure that we're there for them in whatever capacity that looks like that make sure they have a great nutritious meal. One other thing is local produce. So sourcing local is really, really important. Obviously, it's a challenge during the winter months because we're in New England and the growing season kind of stops around November. But during this time right now, the summer into the early fall, pretty much every type of local vegetable that we have every type of vegetable that we have is locally sourced. We're very fortunate to be able to do that, and it is a priority for us. So not just local produce, but we also have honey, maple syrup, and a lot of value-added products that we're able to incorporate into our menu. A few dining principles. So again, there's 8 here. I'm not going to go over every single one of them. I'll just touch upon a few. The first one is the value. This is really, really important. So we want to make sure that what students pay for and what they get is always positive. We want to have a positive value proposition. Why? Well, one, we want to make sure they have a great experience, but two, we want to make sure that they trust us. So they trust that when they buy a meal plan, they're going to get a great experience. So some of the things that you see here on the slide are an example of that experience. Every year we celebrate Lunar New Year. It's a huge special event, usually in February. We bring in guest chefs. So right here you see celebrity chef Martin Yan, who does demos, cooking demonstrations, works with our team to create really great recipes. Then over in the corner you see a lion dance. So we actually we work with the UMass Student Lion Dance Club, who then goes to each of the dining commons and our retail operations and does a lion dance for our students. Some who have never seen this before. It's really quite magnificent and fun. You can see that some of the students over there are taking pictures. Finally, up in the upper left-hand corner, you can see our director in the red sweater. This is one of our suhoors during Ramadan. All right, so we want to make sure that we also recognize different events in students' lives that may allow them to eat or not allow them not to eat during the day. So, for instance, during Ramadan, our Muslim students aren't able to eat when the sun's up, right? So this is an example of where we open up the dining commons at 3 a.m. to be able to serve our Muslim students. So this kind of goes into the value, into the convenience coming to students when they need to eat, the experience, variety, and of course I talked about the authenticity, which is critical in everything that we do here. One more video.
Award-winning, innovative, UMass dining is so creative.
UMass dining is love. Delicious.
They got tons of options.
Very authentic flavors.
At any dining hall you go to, you can find different international cuisine.
They always make the food right in front of me. Stir fries are awesome.
30% of our food is grown locally, so it's really nice to know that UMass prides itself on sustainability.
We love UMass dining! Bringing you a world of flavor, locally grown, a time to savor. UMass dining. Award-winning.
And finally, we come to the guide, right? So we've been partners with Aussie Beef and Lamb for many, many years, not just with them, but also with their partners that bring in the product into the United States. And we've done lots of different events, lot of different trainings. So we were talking about kind of the strategic vision, our strategic partnerships on what else can we do to really lift the bar for Aussie beef and lamb together. And there's a bunch of things that we talked about that we're able to do together. But one of the things that I think really stuck out was doing a guide, a how-to guide of how do universities or how are they able to take a really great product and put it on a pedestal for their students, right? So kind of the idea of the guide was born. If you see that there's a link right below, if you click that, that will bring you to a page. Then if you scroll all the way down, that will give you actually the actual link to the guide. If you haven't already done it, please do. It took a lot of our team to bring this together. Chef Alex is kind of going into the step by step and some of the behind the scenes on what we had to do to come up with this really great this really great guide. We want to go to the next slide. We kind of talk about a little bit more of some of the key deliverables. These are I'm not going to go over every one of these. This is kind of like the table of contents of some of the things that we were asked to speak to, right? So obviously Generation Z is the audience that we're serving right now. And if you can believe it, Generation Alpha is right around the corner, 4 to 6 years. My daughter's a Generation Alpha, so I know that they're a different breed, definitely. So I think we need to get ready for that. But then, Alex will kind of go into each of these areas in terms of R&D, methodology, recipe development, and kind of go step by step. And then I think there'll be opportunities to ask questions along the way. If you have any questions, just put it into, I think there's a little sidebar, and that will go to Chris. And he'll be able to ask us. But now I'd like to hand it over to Chef Alex On, who will kind of go into more of the guide and the ins and outs of it.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Good afternoon, everybody. So my name is Alexander Ong, and I'm the Director of Culinary Excellence here at UMass. And my background essentially come from retail and hotels. Well, so the way that I approach campus dining is not just campus dining. I'm running a resort, and I explain to you why, right? We have 4 dining commons and about 31 cafes, 2 restaurants, and we run all the concessions program at the football stadium as well as our hockey and basketball arena. Okay, and we have 2 food trucks that roam the whole university until 2 o'clock in the morning. We also run the hotel, and we have a pretty good sized catering and conference services department. So all in all, it's like we said, we're running about 140, close to about $145 million operation, and we open at 7 a.m. to midnight for our dining halls. And the food trucks will continue to serve things like quesadillas, burgers till about 2 o'clock in the morning, all across campus. So we are the biggest university dining program in North America, and Chris has given you some numbers, and which is insane. There are nights where I look out my office window and said, I'm responsible for producing 50,000 meals a day, which is, coming from a restaurant, 600 covers for dinner, you're already kind of like going, oh, yeah. And here we are doing 50,000. And the success of the program is not on me. It is on every single one of those staff that come into work every day with a single goal saying, we want to do the best to take care of our students. So that is an amazing accomplishment. And the success of our program is all, because of them. So our mission, like Chris has mentioned, healthy, sustainable, delicious, right? Those 3 words drive how we do business. Okay, our goal is to educate the next generation of informed consumers. So after 4 years, right, when we talk about branding, yeah, we have that opportunity to expose them to the brands that we love to partner with, right, that align with our mission at the university. So after 4 years, when these students leave, 76% of them that we have polled and said that they will continue to eat the way that they have been eating for the past 4 years. We have a lot of expertise in all these flavors because we draw from both external influences from these chefs that we bring in as guest chefs from all over the country, from Martin Yan, right? We would bring in chefs like from the James Beard Foundation, the winners of James Beard Foundation, right, to come in and share with us some of these flavors. Horst Zare, one of our famous and most popular chef, originally from Iran, and he comes from Google, and he comes in and share with us an Iranian New Year. So the Persian New Year is huge. So when it comes down to it, so he brings all these flavors in. So we have guests that come in all the way from Boston. Bear in mind, 2 hours from campus, 2 hours from campus. They come in all the way just to have dinner with us, and that blew my mind in the sense that it just it really kind of reinforced the idea that food brings people together, right? So now let's talk about the recipe development and inspiration, right? Obviously, when you look at it, it's like, where do we draw the inspiration from to get all these global flavors? From the chefs that we bring in from the outside, right? From all over the United States. But we also look at internally, who are the people that are on our team. Okay, so we look at it as we realize that we have the United Nations of the world cooking at UMass. So we started asking them, saying, how would you make this? Okay. When you bring in the chefs from the outside, of course, they're going to say that I'm Iranian, I cook it this way. It's more modern. Haas comes from California, lives in California. So he'll bring in all his California influences to it, right? And we look at our own internal staff and they said that no, this is not how we eat. So let me show you how we eat this kind of food, how we cook this food on a daily basis. And it's a completely different avenue. Both are well loved by our students and our campus community, right? So we want to tell our students, right, and especially their parents, right? When you sign up for a meal plan, food is going to be something that's you don't have to worry about. Your students will eat well. I think that's a key thing here, right? So let's talk about the Australian beef and lamb. We created this guidebook, right, in order to show the world and that, i.e., university dining programs across the United States and North America, that for a big program, it can be done, right? We want to create all these true flavors and true recipes, right? And we want to say that, hey, this can be done. I mean, we know that there are going to be programs where you're going to run into a wall and say that, hey, it's too much work. We don't have this ingredients and so on and so forth. We're saying that nowadays America is in the center of it all. It can be done, right? And we are working with our purveyors, with our partners, and partner vendors to say that we need all these flavors, the spices, and so on and so forth. So they'll bring that all to us. And we always develop, I mean, through the chef conference, right? UMass is synonymous with educating and sharing the best practices and ideas how to run a great food program. And I'm a big proponent of that. And I have a lot of chefs from all across the country who reach out to me. And I encourage you guys to send me an email, right? Let's get in touch, right? And I always encourage this because it brings us together. It creates that network for us to be able to bounce ideas off each other. Now, all these recipes are done when you look at it. Sure, of course, it looks like it's plated in a restaurant setting, a bistro, and so on and so forth, right? We run it all. I run a resort, not a university program, right? I mean, that's the goal that I'm pushing for because essentially I want to create the best program out there and break away from that traditional. You go into the cafeteria with a tray and you get the food being plopped right onto your platter. Those days are over. We want to create that excitement, right? And all these beautiful flavors and all this we want to use the best products, right? And one of the things that I want to share with you, those of the students who are on the meal plan, their family come in and dine with them for free, right? We create weekend Sunday jazz brunch that we have students from our music group, right? They come in and we hire them to play music, and parents join the students and have a couple hours of brunch with them. So how fun is that, right? So it's very how should we say, we're preparing, right, them for the real world where they'll go out and have brunch with the with your friends and so on and so forth. So now the different cuts of beef and lamb that we use, right? Of course, there are time and a place where we would say, yes, let's do a New York a strip loin, let's do a prime rib, right? But on a day-to-day basis, right, we look at burgers, right? Because we serve so many burgers on campus, and the product that we source from the Aussie beef and lamb is it's obviously it's a 3 ounce, not a 4 ounce, because we're all you care to eat program. So 3 ounce patty, grass fed, halal, right? And all our lamb and beef are halal, and that helps open our doors, right, to a lot of other ethnic recipes and so on and so forth. So um, a blend is about 80 to 80/20, and we've also worked with some groups, right, some companies to say that can we use a blended burger. So we also experimenting with that, right? 30% of it would be vegetables, and we work with this company called Spare Foods, and they have been great in helping us develop a recipe that creates that blended burger. Now, Halloween, right? We were famous for this. Every Halloween, we would do steak and lobster for the whole campus. 16,000, 1/6 lobsters from the Gulf of Maine, right? We bring them in. If you don't know what 16,000 lobsters look like, it is like after here. We're buried in lobsters and we're cooking on these lobsters, and the students they come in, they get a ticket, and they have to give this ticket to the counter, and they'll get this steak and lobster. We utilize the top sirloin that we grill, and we'll slice it for them. Right. Topsoil and the lamb we use ground as well as the leg, right? Whole bone-in leg or even the boneless leg. We even cube it up for stews and for a lot of things like for Indian cooking, especially during Ramadan we'll do a lot of these beautiful flavors from the Middle East, right? And create that environment for our students. So we know a lot of stuff, but there are also a lot of things that we don't know. So we don't know. We want to make sure that we connect with our students, right? With the student groups and say that, how do we do this? Right? We are never afraid of asking and telling people, hey, I don't know. Can you show me? Can you help me? Right? And that has led to a lot of collaboration and really opened our eyes and ears, right, to understand what the students are asking for. Because at the end of the day, right, it is our customers that we are really focused on, right? And our goal is to make sure that they're happy. That it is Chris talked about the value of our program. This is it, right? We have to make sure our students are happy, right? As a chef, I come from an environment where yes, Michelin, yes, I got all these awards and everything. Great. I want to be on the face on Food and Wine magazine. But in reality, nowadays, a great day for us is a day where nothing happens. No complaints, nobody got sick, right? And no hate email saying that you suck, Alex. And that's a great day for us, right? So our relationship with the Aussie Beef and Lamb has allowed our program to grow. It really helped us, right, help tell the story about the industry from Australia. Why is it so unique, right? And it's important for us to be true to our student population and saying that we're here for you, right? And we partner up with great organizations like Aussie Beef and Lamb to help us in our quest to provide the best of the best program in the country. Thank you.
Awesome. Chef, would you like just to walk through? There's a couple of recipes here that we just picked out for the crowd.
Yeah. So with the recipe development, right? So these are all recipes that we do. We don't just go create, like I said, right? We don't create and put in recipes that is like, oh, this is only good for when you have 20 people coming in the kitchen. This is a food that we do on a daily basis, right? So how do we present it? How do we cook it? So Doug, can we go to the next recipes? So all these recipes are from our culinary team, right? The cumin taco, right? So again, this is something that we have fun, and when we do events outside on the big lawn, right, and we're cooking outdoors. So the Szechuan cumin tacos, right? All these flavors that are fun, that are international. The students from Chengdu, China, they recognize the fact that cumin lamb. Yes, we know that cumin lamb when you go to China, right? These are synonymous with this particular area, and they are so addictive. And how can we take these flavors and put them in a handheld program, right? And tacos comes in mind, right? And it has grown to be a great program. So whenever we do, when you go to our dining hall, you look at our program, we have about maybe about from between 11 to 13 stations that have all different flavors from Latin to sushi to stir fry. Stir fry, right? We always say, even though this is the Aussie beef and lamb program, we always say eat your vegetables, right? So they pick their vegetables and then they go there and we offer them the different types of protein, right? So then everything's customized, cooked to order for them. They can go to the tandoor station. Now tandoor, everything, and it's not just about Indian, right? When you look at the tandoor ovens, it goes from India all the way through the Central Asia to the Balkans, where they have an oven which of a tandoor type oven of one form or another. And the key thing is it's all cooked in this beautiful oven here. So the flavors from Morocco, the keftas, right? How do we create that and this beautiful flavors that's total comfort food, right? So in Worcester, which is our newest dining hall, which opened in 2021, right? And this station here is run by this gentleman. His name is Hafir, and Hafir is from Morocco. And when he runs this kefta, I tell you, I can go to anywhere in the United States. This kefta that he makes rivals anything that I've eaten throughout the world, right? So it's something that is what I dare say it's cooked from the heart. This recipe is from the heart, and he tells me this is his family's recipe. So we're sharing that with you guys, right? And the best practices of doing it. How can we produce, a meal that this building would feed about 12,000 people a day? How do we produce this kind of volume? What are staff needs that we have in order to make this particular station sustainable, right? In not just the being able to put out the product, but also not to produce too much that is wasted, and which is something that is dear and near to our heart too. Food waste is a big no, right? And so, do we have another recipe that we can move on to, Doug?
I think that was the last of the meatballs.
Okay, but
But there's loads more in the guide, of course.
yeah. So there's more in the guide, right? And like I said, any kind of thing, I would love to hear from the audience. That feel free to email me. Chris Tanner, would it be okay if I share my email with the attendees?
Absolutely. We'll actually share all that after the session is done.
Okay. Yeah. So it's real simple. The letter A, and then my last name, ONG@umass.edu. So just shoot me an email. If you look through things, you have questions, you have any kind of obviously we can definitely connect and see how we can help you. Sounds good.
Excellent. Thank you, Chef Alex. I think it's now up to me to try and bring home the show with a few insights about the Australian beef and lamb industry, and for those of you that aren't familiar with it, and some reasons perhaps why you might consider introducing it into your program. Just a little bit about who we are. We're a not-profit research, development and marketing company that services the Australian cattle, sheep and goat meat industries. we're owned by our ranchers, and my family are ranchers as well back in Australia, and I'm coming to you from Washington, DC, but with an Australian accent. But this will be my last presentation in this role because I'm returning to Australia after a wonderful 3.5 years in the region, and my success is up in the market now. So bittersweet moment being on this presentation with the team. It's my last presentation in the region. Meat and Livestock Australia operate a red meat category brand. So looking at the pyramid here on the right-hand side, you could see some countries operate country brands, product of USA, product of Australia, product of Canada. We operate the category brand here, which is Aussie beef and lamb. We also have Aussie beef, lamb and goat. We supply goat meat to the region, but we're speaking to you today specifically around beef and lamb, which is the products that University of Massachusetts Amherst use. And then you'll see in the market individual exporter brands that are specific to a particular company. We offer 3 key things. So resources, meaning things like livestock supply projections. There's a number of our staff that run around Australia collecting live sale data to understand how many animals are being produced and sold around Australia. We also provide export data. We export 70 to 75% of what we produce in Australia is exported. So we provide export data by volume. And we can provide market insights, not only in the markets we operate in the 100 countries around the world, but also from the Australian market. We offer a range of marketing services and innovation services. So category brand marketing support. And by category brand, we refer to the categories that we're active in. And in this region, that's grass-fed beef, lamb, and goat. But even within the beef category, we do some work in the premium space with Australian Wagyu and grain-fed product. But we mostly deal with grass-fed beef and lamb into North America. We also provide what we call the Aussie Meat Academy workshops or events that are designed to educate and inspire users of Australian beef, lamb and goat. We can do that with behind the scenes, company by company workshops with buyers or executive chefs or just chefs in general, through to large scale events that showcase product with multiple business attendees. We also offer targeted business development support. So, for example, our relationship with UMass is a targeted effort. UMass has been a long-standing, high value and trusted partner of Australian beef and lamb. And so we work with them hand in hand to support their business growth aspirations and ensure that Australian suppliers are meeting their needs. And then we also offer market access support, which is more about logistics of making sure product can make its way into the region. And then lastly, we do co-invest with partners in marketing efforts and even innovation efforts where they might be looking to develop new food products. For example, Chef Alex mentioned Spare Food Company. We're supporting that business because they're utilising Australian grass-fed beef and blending it with vegetables to make a blended beef and vegetable burger, for example. What we don't do, it's important that we do touch on this, is we don't sell meat products. So we sit across all of the industry, represent all exporters and producers. So we don't buy or sell product. And we also don't provide pricing information. So for those of you who might have a pricing question online, I won't be able to answer that. The individual businesses who supply product will certainly be happy to provide you with pricing information. Now, look, these are the top 6 reasons why customers tell us they like to buy Australian beef, lamb or goat in this region. And the first is that it's eating quality assured, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. We have leading food safety standards, meaning our product is incredibly clean and provides a lot of shelf life, which is useful for users who are trying to manage their inventory whilst they're making dishes. We're trusted by consumers globally because we've been exporting red meat for over 50 years, and we've been sending ground beef to the US for over 50 years. And so we have long and established partnerships with customers and consumers around the world. Australia is an ideal place to grow livestock because we have sunshine 365 days of the year. Generally speaking, we don't have a harsh winter where animals need to be in barns and protected from those extremities. They're able to roam freely throughout the year in Australia. So it's a great place to be raising livestock because of where we're situated on the planet. And we also meet a lot of the supply gap that the Northern Hemisphere experiences during the winter period. So when it's winter hit in Northern America, it's summer in Australia. So if you're a grass-fed buyer in North America and it's the middle of winter, there's not a lot of grass growing. So there's not a lot of grass-fed availability of product, hence why the Southern Hemisphere countries supply a lot of the grass-fed meats into North America during the winter period. Getting towards the end, we have leading animal well-being and standards and traceability right through the value chain. We can provide traceability of consignments back to the zip code in which producers raise their livestock. And as I've mentioned earlier, we are an export-focused country. 75% of what we produce is exported because there's not enough Australians to eat it. We have only just around 27 million Australians. We have more cattle than Australians at the moment, and we have about 3 times as many sheep as we do Australians. So we're very good at producing and exporting product. I mentioned a little bit around leading eating quality programs and eating quality assurance. Because we export so much of the product we produce, we have to be very focused on customer and consumer demands for consistent and high eating quality product. It's a competitive global market for beef and lamb. And so you need to be at the top of the game in eating quality performance and consistency. So with that in mind, our industry 20 years ago put in place the Meat Standards Australia program, which is an eating quality grading program designed to take the guesswork out of buying and cooking Australian beef and sheep meat. The MSA program is based on over 170,000 consumer taste tests in over 13 countries and over 1.3 million samples of beef and sheep meat. So that's utilised in each of those consumer sensory taste testing sessions. We're a leading provider of that information around the world. There's really no one else in the world that makes the effort that we do in this space. Individuals' primals receive a predicted eating quality score based on tenderness, juiciness, flavour, and overall liking. So we can provide a customer or a buyer with a predicted eating quality outcome at a cut level. Again, there's no one else in the world who provides that at a cut level. Participation in the program is voluntary, so not all Australian beef suppliers offer MSA graded product. Around half of the beef we produce it passes through an MSA graded program. All of it is graded under the Australian AusMeat graded program. Around half of it is graded for supreme eating quality criteria. Our organisation and our industry is committed to action on climate change. Greenhouse gas emissions from the Australian red meat industry have more than halved since 2005, and the Australian red meat industry's contribution to Australia's national emissions has halved since 2005. And the Australian red meat industry is the only major sector in the Australian economy since 1990 to make substantial reductions in emissions since the Australian government put in place our national progress on emissions under the global protocols. Next up, I'm just going to show you a short video because I can't take you to Australia, but a short video from Australian ranchers or producers just talking about their efforts in this space.
I once heard farming spoken about as a very noble profession and how critical a role we have to play, not only in feeding the world, but in restoring the ecological function of our environment.
environmental responsibility goes hand in hand with productivity in production. You can't have one without the other.
We're all striving as an industry to work towards CN30, which is a big audacious goal, which is great. It's good to set the bar really high. And now it's working through and adopting some of these new technologies, decarbonising our supply chain, adopting renewables. It's really exciting times.
Soil health is the building block to all agriculture. We need our soils to be healthy to grow more plants, which means we can feed our animals better. A well-fed animal is a happy animal.
There's about 4 major areas as a beef producer that I can contribute to reducing our emissions. It's in the genetics of our animals, it's how we manage our properties day to day. It's all about how we can sequester carbon, and then there's feed additives.
When we start looking at our measures, being EOV and also the carbon benchmark, the two have got to go together. We've got to get that balance. By using the EOV, we're actually got a clear carbon focus on reduction, but we've also got a focus on maintaining the local ecosystem.
As a consequence of the grazing management is that we have improved ecological health of our soil, and that's what's built our carbon levels, has been the grazing management. That's been a function, I suppose, of our beef production business.
Just a handful of slides to wrap things up around the resources that we can provide you to utilise Australian beef and lamb. If you're looking for inspiration, you could scan that QR code or it'll take you to our website, which you can see at the bottom here, where we provide information under the Aussie Meat Academy. Again, it's a place of knowledge, inspiration, motivation to use beef, lamb and goat meat in your program. And you can also reach out to us for bespoke training if you're new to these proteins. Just to touch on some of the food service resources available, you can access the exporters database to see which Australian exporters are providing product to the region. Sorry, there's a timer there that's kicking this slide forward. Menu inspiration, we free issue all of the menus that we develop with our partners. Butchery videos to show how to break down particular cuts if you're interested in that. We have an Aussie Meat Minute culinary blog that you could receive to your inbox to get the latest insights from us. A whole range of free digital assets if you'd like to activate with our proteins on social media, for example. And then we have a list of Aussie Meat ambassadors. We have 30 chefs around North America who are either lambassadors, meaning they're ambassadors of Australian lamb, or the Australian beef mates. And these are influential food industry professionals who also help you with inspiration and motivation to utilise the product. Trends and other bits and pieces as well are available. Specifically around butchery, if you'd like to understand that part of our sector, we have a range of videos that show breakdowns of subprimals, as well as on beef and on lamb. And we also have cut charts that might help you in your conversations with suppliers about different cut codes, because there are some differences in the trade language between US cut language and Australian cut language. So these cut guides to the right-hand side for beef and lamb just help you in your conversations there when you're developing specifications. For consumers, if you're a consumer and you'd like to go and buy Australian beef and lamb at a retail outlet, we have a tool that's online called our Find a Supplier tool. Scan the QR code if you'd like to access that. Put in your zip code and it will tell you which local retailers are, to our best knowledge, stocking Australian beef, lamb or goat. And then sorry, that's the consumer one on the right. On the left-hand side is the one for customers. If you're a customer buyer, a business buyer, and you scan this QR code, we've developed a bit of a database of known distributors by region. And so if you're not connected with a broadliner stocking Australian, you could obviously start by asking them. If they don't stock it, check out this QR code and have a look at the different distributors that might be in your region supplying the product. Last few slides. This is just how to connect with us. We're on a range of social channels. On Instagram, our handle's @AussieBeefLamb. That also covers Pinterest and Facebook. We're also on LinkedIn. This is the Aussie Meat Minute blog I mentioned, so it's freely available. It goes out once a month, so you won't get bombarded with emails, and we purely develop it just to help you with inspiration and motivation to utilize product. Here's how you could reach me. I'm around until July 18th, and then my wife and child will be driving from the East Coast to the West, doing a road trip across America, and then flying out of San Francisco back to Australia in early August. But I would certainly be happy to take emails or phone calls from any of you online if you'd like to learn more about Aussie beef and lamb. So with that, I might stop screen sharing. Obviously, a standard disclaimer. Throw back to Chris Tanner for any questions.
Thank you, Doug. I have a few questions here for you, and I'll kick the first one to you. See how you just your last one on the screen. What are the product attributes that college and university students look for in beef and lamb?
The common ones that we're often being asked for is one, grass-fed, because American consumers have a real affinity for a grass-fed product. That's grass-fed, grass-finished, whole of life, produced, raised, finished in a grass environment, because it's directly linked with animal well-being benefits, and also some notional benefits in terms of, it's a leaner product, so slightly less fat content, and has some health-forward trends. So grass-fed is generally a very common attribute. Beyond that, Chef Alex mentioned halal. So for those who have particular religious dining practices, all of Australia's export facilities have the ability to provide halal certified product if the customer would like it. And then we can also offer antibiotic-free, hormone-free products as well, and eating quality graded product as well. I mentioned about the Meat Standards Australia quality graded program. So they're often some fairly common attributes.
Awesome, thank you. Next question is going to be for you, Chef Alex and Chris. What's your number one consideration when planning dining for university students?
I think for myself, obviously, is true flavors. We want to create something that is first and foremost, we due to our clientele, right, is comfort food, right, and this food that they want to eat, that they are familiar with, and it helps. A lot of the students are from foreign countries. They come in here, so this is a place that they feel at home, right? These are flavors, right? And now when we start creating dishes that's a little bit more fun, more towards a little bit more experimental, there's a time and a place for that. We put that usually like special occasions and so on and so forth, or in a restaurant. But what we do is on a daily basis is driven by authenticity, right? True flavors, right? And a good program that supports, the products that really aligns with what we as the UMass Dining truly believe in.
I think it's interesting because you talk about comfort food, and there's obviously comfort food from all over the world. And one of the things going through your dining hall, there's literally global foods from anywhere from an Indian tandoor to pho. In the first place, too interesting is after you joined UMass, first time I ever had a banh mi and pho was that station that was downstairs before you even put the current halls in. So I have to credit you actually with the first banh mi and pho that I ever had for changing the dining there. And the first Korean food I ever had was actually at the Korean restaurant that's just outside of Amherst as well. So, and with that being there, obviously comfort food means something different to people around the world. And I think that you definitely satisfy that. It makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. What is your favorite lamb or beef recipe you've created for university students while working on this project?
Wow, that's I can't pinpoint anything in particular, but I think, because number one, if my staff finds out about it, they'll be like, "Why didn't you pick my recipe?" Uh,
Well, they just got to
so
get better then, chef.
yeah, but I think in terms of what we've created, I can't pick anything that's like my personal favorite. It really depends on the time of the year. Depends, whether it's the weather's hot or cold. But I'm gonna be like a dad and say that I love all my kids and all my recipes, and it's true because the flavors that we produce here at UMass, I'm very, very proud of our staff because when they put something together, they really put their heart and soul into it. This a Malaysian guy like me, this be pointless to tell a Korean chef that hey, there's a better way to make kimchi because you get a smack right across the head with a bucket of cabbage.
It may be from his mother.
Yeah.
But I can back up what Alex is saying is I think when you look at this guide, every single one is a home run. For me, all these dishes really sing and really capture that authenticity that we've been talking about. But for me, I like things that are packaged that are easy to eat. So I love tacos. Like tacos are like one of my favorite things. So the Cuban tacos, I mean, they're just the flavor. There's multiple layers of flavors. The texture is great. I could probably eat half a dozen if I wanted to, but I stop at three just because I'm never going to be a dancer if I continue to eat too many tacos. But in any regard, every single one of the recipes here are really great. And the best part of this process was actually being able to test during the R&D process, right? Because then you can kind of see the creativity behind what Alex and his chefs were able to do and create. And it's really just it was a fun process, and I'm really glad that Doug and in the MLA we were able to partner on this particular project. And just we're gonna miss Doug. Doug's been a great partner. He's been a great proponent for UMass and for Aussie lamb beef and also goat. So we'll miss him very much, and we'll definitely keep in touch with him. But he's the next person that's coming on board. I was able to had an opportunity to meet them during our chef conference, and he's a great guy as well. So they have a great team. So if you have any questions, they certainly be able to help you out.
Well, Doug, Chris, Chef Alex, I want to thank you all for an amazing presentation. We appreciate you taking the time to share with us on everything on Aussie lamb, beef, and goat here for university dining and your mission as a whole. So thank you to all three of you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Pleasure.
Thanks, everyone.
Members, please be on the lookout for the survey you'll receive in the next day or so, which you'll need to complete to earn your continuing education hours. We hope you'll join us next week on July 9th as Chef Kenny Tang, Shirley Chang, and Martin Yen, we were just talking about him, present on innovations in modern Asian cuisine and speak about the newly formed Asian Culinary Alliance. Then on August 20th, we'll be revisiting vegetables with a presentation from Farmer Lee Jones and Chef Jamie Simpson. Visit the media tab on acfchefs.org to register for upcoming webinars. We also invite you to register for the 2025 ACF National Convention, where you can hear from a variety of experts presenters covering all of our trending topics for this year. This event is filled with tons of educational presentations, networking opportunities, and delicious meals, so we hope to see you there. To learn more about ACF National Convention, visit acfchefs.org and click on the Events tab. On behalf of the ACF National Office, thank you again to our presenters for bringing this opportunity, and thank you all members for joining us today. Have a wonderful day.